Good evening. In the news tonight, a Vincennes man is behind bars today facing several marijuana charges. Politicians argue over the president's jobs bill as first-time unemployment numbers continue to climb. And in sports, Vincennes Lincoln takes on Jasper in high school football action tonight. News Center 22 starts now.
Local news, weather, and sports, produced through the combined efforts of the students, staff, and faculty of Vincennes University's electronic media program. This is News Center 22.
A Vincennes man faces several marijuana-related charges following a state police investigation. Good evening for News Center 22. I'm Mitch Columbi. An anonymous call concerning illegal drug activity led Indiana State Police to a home at 917 Oak Street Thursday afternoon. Troopers searched the residence and found approximately 200 grams of marijuana, along with paraphernalia commonly used when dealing marijuana. The homeowner, 39-year-old Larry Stefanik, was arrested and taken to the Knox County Jail. He faces felony counts of possession of marijuana over 30 grams and maintaining a common nuisance. He is also charged with probation violation. A Knox County woman will be sentenced later this month on drug-related charges. 46-year-old Sandra Weiss appeared in Knox County Superior Court 1 this week and entered a guilty plea to possession of meth in 2 separate criminal cases. Judge Tim Crowley took the pleas under advisement and set a hearing on plea acceptance and sentencing for September 27th. The crimes occurred in December 2009 and January 2010. Indiana State Excise Police has cited Kilroy Sports Bar in Bloomington. The citations were a result of the investigation into the disappearance of IU student Lauren Spear. Spear was seen at the bar the night she went missing. Excise Officer Corporal Travis Thixton says Kilroy's was cited for both allowing a minor to loiter and furnishing alcohol beverages to a minor. Thixton says it could be a few months before a penalty is handed down and even longer if the owners request a hearing before an administrative law judge. Thixton says Kilroy's has been cooperative in the investigation in Spear's disappearance. 2 people died when the small plane crashed on an Indiana golf course. It happened Thursday early evening in Noblesville near Indianapolis. Authorities say there were only 2 people on board. FAA records identified the craft as a Remox GX registered to an Illinois aviation company. It's not yet known why the plane went down. A new study deals with parents' perception of alcohol and marijuana use among teenagers. The study from the University of Michigan C.S. Mott Children's Hospital says that 10% of parents think their own teens drank alcohol in the last year, and 5% think their teens smoked marijuana in the last year. But people with teenagers say 60% of other teens have drank alcohol and 40% have smoked marijuana. Vincennes Township Fire Chief Tim Smith was recently presented with the Indiana Fire Chiefs Association 2011 Fire Chief of the Year Award. The award was presented recently at the Indiana Emergency Response Conference. Smith was cited for his long history as a leader in the Indiana Fire Service field. He also was honored for working with students in Vincennes University's Fire Science program and giving them opportunities to develop their skills while serving in a student capacity with his department. Smith has served on the Vincennes Township Fire Department for 27 years and is a past president of the Indiana Fire Chiefs Association. Planning a trip outside the country? The Vincennes Post Office will be accepting passport applications tomorrow morning from 8:30 until 12:30 during Passport Day in America. The event is being held on a weekend to accommodate those people who work during the week. The cost is $135 for adults and $105 for those under 16 years old. There is an additional processing fee of $25 that goes to the post office, along with the $110 passport application fee. Photos for the passport will be available at the post office for $15. Make sure you bring a copy of your birth certificate and a valid driver's license or government-issued ID. Duke Energy has announced that John Hayes has assumed the position of general manager of the company's Gibson County generating station. Hayes served as production manager at the Gibson station from 2003 to 2009. He most recently served as general manager of the company's Cayuga generating station in Vermilion County, Indiana. Hayes replaces Tom Guthrie, who has served as general manager since 2008. Guthrie is taking a new position at the company's headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina. Still to come on News Center 22. More Americans are facing unemployment for the first time as the argument over the proposed jobs bills continue in the nation's capital. We'll have the details. And would you like to make sure some social network postings are kept more private? Facebook is trying to make that possible. We'll explain how when we come back.
With my
Coming up this week on WVUT's 22 magazine, fundraising for this year's United Way campaign is underway. Executive Director Bob Borowski will be in the studio to discuss where the money goes and services they provide. Then in our second segment, Pat Hudson with the Vincennes Education Foundation talks about the group's mission and a pair of fundraising events coming up later this month. That's the next time on 22 magazine, Saturday night at 7:30 on WVUT.
While Washington debates the best way to get more people back to work, new government numbers show more Americans are out of work for the first time. Emily Schmidt reports from Washington.
Tell them to pass this jobs bill.
President Obama has been pitching his jobs bill for a week, and Thursday House Speaker John Boehner said that bill comes up short.
The president's proposals are a poor substitute for the pro-growth policies that are needed to remove barriers to job creation in America.
The Speaker proposed fewer government regulations and taking tax increases off the table. Hours before he spoke, Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi anticipated the call and criticized it.
I don't think we should, any of us, go in there with any lines in the sand about taxes or entitlements. Although I think our only sacred cow has to be the creation of jobs for the American people and the creation of jobs now.
The Labor Department reports 428,000 people filed for unemployment for the first time last week, the highest weekly level since late June. 3.7 million people have been on the unemployment rolls for 2 weeks or more. Among them, this Arizona couple who lost their jobs, lost their home, and settled in a storage unit.
You could have talked to me 3 months ago and I would have told you you're crazy. Me, homeless?
In Washington, there's agreement something must be done to get people back to work.
And if we put election year politics aside and focus on our work, we'll leave our country in a much better place.
We must pass it, not for us, but for the American people.
Landing a deal could be more difficult, as tough as millions of Americans find landing that next job. In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt.
A Texas death row inmate may get a second chance at life. Just hours before he was scheduled to die by lethal injection, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a temporary stay of execution for conviction murderer Dwayne Buck. Andrew Spencer reports.
Dwayne Buck's only surviving victim celebrated his stay of execution Thursday night.
I have forgave him. Yes, sir, I forgave him in 1995.
Phyllis Taylor was one of 3 people Buck shot after an argument that year. Now she's pushing for the state to spare his life.
I feel that justice will prevail. I thank God for all the prayers. I thank God that he is a God of a second chance.
The U.S. Supreme Court says it will now review Buck's case. The convicted murderer had already eaten what was to be his last meal when the court issued the 11th hour stay of execution.
We are excited and rejoicing, and we know that he deserves life.
Buck was taken from his holding cell near the state's execution chamber and sent back to death row to wait on word of what will happen next. Defense attorneys want him to get a second sentencing hearing. They say the first one was tainted by racially charged testimony from a psychologist. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
In a special ceremony at the White House Thursday, President Barack Obama presented Sergeant Dakota Meyer with the Medal of Honor. It is the nation's highest military honor. Sergeant Meyer is the first living Marine to receive it for actions in Afghanistan or Iraq. Meyer ran through enemy fire in Afghanistan to pull wounded military personnel from the battlefield. He saved a total of 36 Americans and Afghans that day.
Today we pay tribute to an American who placed himself in the thick of the fight. Again and again and again. In so doing, he has earned our nation's highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor. And we are extraordinarily proud of Sergeant Dakota Meyer.
Meyer has said he didn't do anything any other Marine wouldn't have done. In a Marine newsletter, he said he was just doing his job. Teachers kept striking yesterday in Tacoma, Washington, defying a judge's order to get back in the classroom. Schools have been closed all week due to the teachers not giving up on what they believe are their rights. This has kept about 28,000 students at home. Teachers started picketing after contract negotiations between their union and the school district broke down. The teachers' union is meeting today to decide if the strike will continue. If you don't want your boss to see pictures of your weekend activities on Facebook, you'll be interested in the site's new feature, Smart Lists. Allison Cossack reports.
Social networking site Facebook is unveiling a new feature this week. It's aimed at addressing users' desire for more control over who sees the information they share on the site. Smart Lists will group the people you are connected to on Facebook into different categories. Although this site has offered friends lists since 2007, it will now offer separate news feeds, sharing specific information with certain groups of people. Facebook will automatically offer lists based on work, school, family, and location. The new feature appears to be similar to Google+, a networking feature that Google launched in June that groups your contacts into different social categories. Facebook is hoping users will create lists of close friends and acquaintances. The site will suggest different people for each group and provide a reminder of how much information you share with the site. If you don't give Facebook information about where you work, who your family is, or where you went to school, it can't make those lists for you. Users can also manage the lists manually. I'm Allison Kosick in New York.
AT&T Mobility is saddling up for the initial launch of its faster fourth-generation data services. The 4G LTE network is set to debut on Sunday. The cost? About $50 for 5 gigabytes per month. The network will debut in 5 cities, reaching 70 million people. The selected launch cities are Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, Texas. Opening this weekend, a getaway driver is on a wild ride after a job goes wrong, and a finance executive balances work and parenthood. Paul Chambers has a preview in Now Showing.
A Hollywood stuntman played by Ryan Gosling moonlights as a getaway driver, but he quickly gets in the hot seat in the action drama Drive.
My hands are a little dirty. So am I.
But when a bank heist spins out of control, driver finds himself in a race to survive and protect the woman he loves. The Driver's rated R. Hollywood screenwriter David Sumner and his actress wife trade L.A. for the Deep South in Straw Dogs, but tensions quickly turn violent and changes everything.
Oh, Mary, one thing.
There are 5 men with guns outside.
This remake of the 1971 suspense thriller stars James Marsden and Kate Bosworth. Straw Dogs is rated R. It's a non-stop balancing act, and I don't know how she does it. Financial executive Kate Reddy, played by Sarah Jessica Parker, juggles motherhood and corporate America.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't know how she does it. All those children.
I have 2.
So impressive.
But new changes have Kate beginning to ask the same question. The romantic comedy also stars Pierce Brosnan and Greg Kinnear. I Don't Know How She Does It is rated PG-13. For Now Showing, I'm Paul Chambers.
I think Mother Nature is getting ready for tomorrow's chili cook-off because our weather is perfect for it. Danny Taborn joins us now to let us know what we can expect weather-wise for VU's family fall weekend. Danny?
It's going to be a perfect tomorrow, Mitch, for all the activities going on downtown on the VU campus. But be ready for the indoor Sunday as rain is expected to move in. I'll explain more when we come back. Stay with us.